They say history is written by the victors, but tonight, history is staring back at us, broken, shattered, and rewritten by a team that refused to bow to the weight of centuries. In a world that thrives on repetition, on the safe and the expected, they chose defiance. They chose to push past limits that generations before them accepted as insurmountable. Every pitch, every swing, every heartbeat in that stadium screamed a truth that the world will never forget. Greatness is not inherited. It is forged in fire and tempered in relentless struggle. If you feel that fire within you right now, pause and take it in. Let it settle in your chest like molten steel. And if you are feeling this, don't let it slip away. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below, and share this energy with everyone you know. Let this story of defiance and triumph remind you that limits exist only in the minds of those who accept them. Share your thoughts on what it means to rise above what was thought impossible, and join a community that refuses to settle. Because this team didn't just play baseball, they tore through the very fabric of what we thought was possible. There is a darkness in history, a weight of tradition and expectation that has always whispered, "You cannot." For centuries, teams came and went, trying to etch their names into the record books, only to be swallowed by mediocrity, forgotten in dusty archives and fading newspaper clippings. But tonight, that darkness has been challenged. Tonight, a team stepped onto that field and stared into the abyss of history, and the abyss blinked first. The unbreakable record, the one every expert claimed would last forever, was not just approached. It was obliterated with a combination of skill, strategy, and an unyielding refusal to surrender. Imagine what it must feel like to carry the hopes of generations on your shoulders, to know that every move you make is measured against decades of failure and expectation. The pressure alone would break most, yet these athletes transformed pressure into power. They harnessed every ounce of doubt, every sneer, every prediction of inevitable failure, and molded it into fuel for their relentless pursuit. When the crowd held its breath, when the scoreboard threatened to mock them, they didn't flinch. They leaned in. They leaned into the darkness, knowing that only by embracing it could they find the light of their unprecedented achievement. And let's be honest, the journey to such a pinnacle is never clean or easy. The nights are long, filled with the silence of empty stadiums and the ache of bodies pushed past exhaustion. The days are longer still, a blur of training, of repetition, of constant sacrifice. Every small setback, every strikeout, every near miss could have been a reason to quit. But they didn't. They refused. They stared at the limits imposed by everyone else and laughed quietly in the shadows, knowing that greatness requires more than talent. It requires obsession, resilience, and an almost cruel devotion to being better than anyone else ever imagined. The fans, the media, the critics, they all waited for them to falter. They whispered that the record was untouchable, that the weight of history would crush any who dared challenge it. But this team understood a fundamental truth. The only thing standing between you and the extraordinary is the courage to keep moving forward when every voice tells you to stop. And so, they moved forward, step by step, inning by inning, turning doubt into determination, skepticism into strength. Every game became a testament to the power of belief. Every moment, a refusal to be defined by what came before. You must understand that this record is more than numbers in a stat book. It is a statement. It is the echo of human potential when it is pushed beyond comfort, beyond expectation, beyond even imagination. They defied centuries of history, Yes, but more importantly, they defied the part of themselves that whispers, "I can't." They silenced that inner voice and replaced it with something fiercer. "I will." And in doing so, they created a story that will inspire generations. A story that will remind us all that the boundaries of possibility are not fixed. They are challengeable, breakable, surpassable. And the darkness they faced, oh, it was real. The nights when doubt seeped like fog into every thought. The injuries, the setbacks, the moments when it felt like the world itself conspired against them. Yet in every instance they found the spark to rise, and rise they did. Not in silence, not quietly, but with the thunder of effort and the unshakable presence of champions. What they achieved cannot be measured merely in statistics. It must be felt in the soul, like a pulse of relentless courage that refuses to be tamed. Think about the sheer mental fortitude required to stand on that precipice of history and not just survive, but thrive. Imagine the resilience it took to outlast competitors who were equally hungry, equally talented, equally desperate for glory. And yet they were not defeated. They were forged. They became something greater than the sum of their parts. A record like this does not just happen. It is claimed. It is seized from the clutches of impossibility, and it demands sacrifice, dedication, and a vision that sees beyond today, beyond this season, beyond even this century. Every fan who watched that record fall could feel it, could see it, could sense it in the air. There is a rare kind of awe that rises from witnessing greatness that feels eternal, and that is what they have given us. A moment frozen in time, a proof that the boundaries drawn by history are not walls. They are challenges, and to witness such a feat is to understand something profound about human ambition. It is unstoppable when fed by the right combination of talent, belief, and unrelenting willpower. And now this achievement lives in infamy. Future players will chase it, historians will debate it, and analysts will attempt to quantify it. But no number, no statistic, no record book entry can capture the essence of what happened. What happened is the defiance of limitation, the refusal to accept mediocrity, the declaration that history, no matter how long, can be rewritten by those daring enough to seize the moment, to push harder, to rise when others fall. If you think about your own life, your own dreams, you will realize this story is not just about baseball. It is about confronting your own impossible odds, about staring at what you thought was insurmountable and deciding with every fiber of your being that you will not be denied. History does not care who you are. It only records what you do. And the people who make it unforgettable are those who refuse to let fear or doubt define their limits. They were not merely athletes. They were architects of destiny, sculptors of possibility, and alchemists who transformed sweat, sacrifice, and sleepless nights into pure, unyielding triumph. Each practice, each drill, each strategy session was a battle against time, against fatigue, against the invisible chains of expectation. While others rested, they labored. While others doubted, they believed. While others counted losses, they counted the moments that would one day be etched into immortality. Theirs was a journey defined not by comfort, not by ease, but by the ruthless pursuit of greatness, the kind that leaves scars and legends in equal measure. And yet, no one outside their locker room could fully grasp the enormity of the weight they carried. The world saw only highlights, the flashy moments of victory, the final triumph. But behind every record-setting swing was 1,000 quiet battles, every home run a monument built atop fatigue, fear, and relentless scrutiny. They faced skepticism as easily as they faced pitches, criticism as easily as fastballs, and yet every strike of doubt only hardened their resolve. This is the essence of history-defying performance. It is not the absence of struggle, but the mastery of it. Consider the sheer courage it takes to challenge something labeled unbreakable. To stand in the shadow of giants and whisper, not with arrogance, but with conviction, "We will write our own story." Every inning they played, every run they scored, became a stanza in a poem of perseverance, a verse in the anthem of ambition. And while the world watched, expecting faltering steps, they danced on the edge of impossibility, turning each moment into evidence that human determination, when fully unleashed, is unstoppable. Let us not forget the pressure, the scrutiny, the media frenzy, the roar of expectations that could crush a lesser soul. They did not crumble, they did not retreat, they advanced. And in advancing, they forced history itself to pause, to acknowledge that a new standard had been set, a record no one could simply overlook, a benchmark for every team that would follow. To witness such a feat is to understand the rarest of human truths. Greatness is not given, it is demanded, and those who achieve it pay in sweat, tears, and the unrelenting refusal to quit. Every statistic they shattered, every record they redefined, is a testament to the fact that barriers exist only for those who accept them. They proved that limits are illusions, that history is not a chain, but a canvas, and that anyone bold enough to defy the narrative can redraw it entirely. They challenged centuries of assumptions, dismissed generations of caution, and emerged not merely victorious, but legendary. Theirs is not just a story of athletic excellence, it is a parable for life itself, a reminder that extraordinary outcomes are reserved for those who dare to believe beyond reason. Think of the nights spent in solitude, when the stadiums were empty, when the cheers faded, when only the faint echo of a ball hitting a bat reminded them of the dream. Those nights were darker than any challenge faced on the field. Defied were tests of character, moments when the mind could surrender to fear, doubt, or exhaustion. But they did not. They rose from those nights, stronger, sharper, and more determined. Each dark hour became fuel, each lonely practice a stepping stone to the impossible, until the world finally bore witness to the culmination of relentless, unflinching effort. History is often cruel, favoring the cautious, celebrating the expected, rewarding the safe. But these athletes did not seek approval from history. They sought to challenge it, to bend it, to demand its recognition. And in doing so, they created a paradoxical truth. Sometimes the only way to achieve immortality is to reject the past, to question the inevitability of failure, to stare at the walls built by centuries and walk through them as if they were made of smoke. The unbreakable record was never meant to be broken, but the unbreakable team never cared about the rules set by others. Every opponent they faced, every obstacle in their path, became a mirror reflecting not their limits, but their potential. Doubt, fear, and opposition were no longer enemies. They were instruments, tools sharpened by adversity, turned into stepping stones toward the extraordinary. They played not for fame, not for applause, but for something far greater. Proof that human will, when guided by unwavering purpose, can overturn centuries of expectation, rewrite what is possible, and etch a name into the consciousness of all who dare to watch. And the story is far more than numbers or records. It is about legacy. It is about the ripple effect that begins the moment someone refuses to accept the ordinary. Young athletes watching this team will grow inspired, not by the statistics, but by the unshakable confidence, the belief that even the impossible can be taken and made tangible. Every swing, every catch, every decision made in the crucible of competition becomes a lesson in courage, teaching future generations that greatness is never inherited, it is seized. Think about the courage it took to face criticism and remain unbroken, to hear impossible whispered at every turn, to feel doubt pressing down like a weight that could bend the strongest spirit, and to rise anyway. That courage is not loud. It is quiet, internal, burning like coal beneath the surface, unseen but undeniable. And when they finally emerged victorious, when the record fell and history bowed, that quiet courage became a roar that the world could not ignore. It was a statement that reverberated far beyond the confines of baseball, reaching anyone who has ever been told, "You cannot." What they achieved is also a lesson in unity. No single player could have rewritten history alone. It was the cohesion of the team, the trust in each other's abilities, the unspoken understanding that every role mattered, every contribution counted. They became more than individuals. They became a singular force, a machine honed for one purpose: to challenge the unchallengeable, to achieve what others deemed impossible. In doing so, they proved that greatness is rarely a solitary pursuit. It is a collective triumph, born of mutual dedication and relentless belief. Every record they shattered is also a reminder of the fragility of expectation. People are conditioned to accept the unbreakable, to bow before it, to believe that some feats are beyond reach. But history is not immutable, it is malleable, shaped by those with courage, audacity, and an unrelenting refusal to be contained. This team did not merely participate in baseball, they participated in a revolution of thought, a rebellion against limitation, a declaration that the past does not dictate the future. And in doing so, they gave every dreamer a map, a proof that the impossible is only a challenge waiting for a conqueror. And now, as the world celebrates, as headlines proclaim their achievement, let us pause to feel the weight of what has happened. We are witnessing more than a record. It is the crystallization of human potential, a symbol of what can be accomplished when talent meets unyielding determination. They faced history, challenged it, and won. They faced doubt, faced adversity, and triumphed. They faced the impossible, and in the darkness, they became a beacon. They did not just play the game, they transcended it. Each swing of the bat, each pitch, each defensive player became an act of rebellion against the ordinary. They knew the eyes of history were upon them, weighing every choice, measuring every breath, and still they moved forward with the quiet confidence of those who have seen the impossible and dared to claim it. The unbreakable record they set was not the result of luck, nor of fleeting brilliance. It was the result of relentless focus, a discipline so absolute that even the shadows of doubt could not reach them. Imagine the hours, the months, the years of preparation that went unseen. The early mornings when the stadium lights were off and the world slept, but they trained. The evenings when pain and fatigue screamed at them to stop, but they endured. Every sacrifice, every aching muscle, every setback became a tool, forged into the unrelenting drive that would carry them into legend. Their record was not given. It was earned in silence, in solitude, in the dark moments when no one was watching but themselves. And let us speak of courage, not the loud, flashy kind, but the kind that whispers in your ear and dares you to keep going when all the world says you cannot. Courage that refuses to be crushed by pressure, by expectation, by the weight of history itself. That is the courage this team possessed. That is the courage that allowed them to step onto the field and face centuries of precedent with nothing but belief, discipline, and the refusal to surrender. History is full of teams that tried and failed, full of athletes who reached for greatness and came up short. But there is a difference between failure and inevitability. This team understood that the past is not a prophecy, that a record deemed unbreakable is only unbreakable until someone dares to challenge it. And dare they did, not with arrogance, but with focus, with discipline, and with a unity that made them unstoppable. You can feel it in every moment of their journey. The tension in the dugout, the quiet nods of encouragement between teammates, the determination in their eyes. They were not defined by fear. They were defined by action. They were not defined by limits. They were defined by breaking them. And in breaking them, they created a moment that will echo far beyond the confines of a stadium, far beyond the season, far beyond the sport itself. The record they set is more than a statistic. It is a symbol of what can happen when preparation meets opportunity, when belief meets action, when the human spirit refuses to accept the impossible. Every future team that looks at that number on the board will see not just achievement, but challenge. They will see that what was once deemed untouchable can be conquered, that the impossible can be made possible through courage, effort, and unyielding unity. It is worth reflecting on the human aspect of this story. These were not machines. They were human beings with fears, doubts, and vulnerabilities. And yet they overcame them. They rose above the ordinary expectations of talent. They rose above the whispers of doubt, above the sneers of skepticism, above the quiet voice in their own minds that said, "Maybe you cannot." They rose into history, and in doing so, they gave us all permission to rise. Every moment of triumph was built on sacrifice. Every record-breaking inning was the result of discipline, of mornings and nights spent in preparation, of choices made when no one was watching. They traded comfort for greatness. They traded ease for legacy. And that is the core lesson. If we wish to achieve the extraordinary, we must be willing to pay the price that others refuse to pay. The unbreakable record is proof that no limit is final, no expectation absolute, and no dream unreachable if pursued with relentless focus. And what of the critics? The doubters who said the record would stand forever, who scoffed at the ambition required to chase it. They are part of the story too, because it is their disbelief that made the triumph so much sweeter. Every word of skepticism became fuel. Every prediction of failure became motivation. They turned doubt into power, derision into determination, and in doing so, they created a story that will inspire long after the final game has ended. This is why we remember them, why we celebrate them, and why their achievement will never fade. Records can be broken again, but the story of defiance, of courage, of rising against centuries of expectation, that is eternal. Theirs is a story of human potential at its peak, of effort transformed into glory, of unity transformed into triumph. And that story is a reminder to all of us that greatness is not a gift. It is claimed. It is seized with sweat, with perseverance, and with the refusal to accept anything less than extraordinary. Every swing, every run, every defensive play was a statement. They said to the world, "We are here. We will not be bound by history. We will define the future." And the record, once unthinkable, now stands as proof. Proof that the impossible is always within reach for those willing to fight for it. Proof that history is not a chain, but a challenge. Proof that every barrier is temporary if met with courage, focus, and unity. Let us remember the emotional journey behind this achievement. The late nights, the early mornings, the aches, the injuries, the sacrifices of personal life, the weight of expectation. Let us feel the triumph not just as a number on a scoreboard, but as a testament to human determination. And let us take it into our own lives. If they could defy centuries of history, we can defy the limitations in our own path. If they could achieve the unthinkable, we can challenge the impossible in our own worlds. And in doing so, we honor them not just as athletes, but as exemplars of what human beings can accomplish when they refuse to accept mediocrity. They rewrote the rules, redefined possibility, and reminded us all that greatness is not inherited. It is forged, crafted in the fire of effort, and sharpened by the blade of determination. This is the legacy of the team that set the unbreakable record, a legacy of courage, sacrifice, unity, and indomitable will. And now, as the dust settles and the echoes of cheers fade, we are left with more than a record. We are left with a story, a testament to the human spirit, a reminder that history, no matter how long or formidable, can be challenged, reshaped, and conquered. They did not merely play baseball, they challenged the very notion of possibility. They reminded the world that limits are illusions, that the past is not a chain, and that courage, discipline, and belief can turn the impossible into reality. Consider the gravity of what they achieved. Centuries of expectation, years of doubt, decades of "it cannot be done," all of it dismantled, step by step, game by game, inning by inning. They did not stumble into this moment by chance. They earned it with every ounce of effort they possessed, with every sacrifice they made, with every time they refused to quit when the world expected them to. That is the essence of defiance, the choice to rise again and again against the odds until you create something that the world cannot ignore. And there is a lesson here for all of us. Every one of us faces unbreakable moments in our own lives, the things that seem too daunting to overcome, the challenges others say are impossible, the goals that feel forever out of reach. And yet, if a team of humans, with all their vulnerabilities and limitations, can defy centuries of history, then what excuse do we have for settling? What excuse do we have for accepting anything less than our own version of extraordinary? Their story is also a lesson in vision. They did not merely act, they saw. They saw what others could not, what others refused to imagine. They envisioned the impossible as a goal, the untouchable as a challenge, the unthinkable as something waiting to be claimed. And because they could see it, they could reach it. There is no achievement without vision, no triumph without imagination, no record without the courage to picture it first in your mind before it exists in reality. And yet, vision alone is never enough. It is paired with relentless effort, with discipline, with the grind that no one sees. The record they set was built in the shadows of practice fields, in the silent repetition of drills, in the endless pursuit of refinement. Every step, every choice, every moment of focus was a brick in the monument they would leave behind. And that is a crucial truth for anyone chasing greatness. The visible triumph is built on invisible sacrifice. This team's achievement is also a testament to the power of unity. No one can reach history alone. Individual talent is meaningless without collaboration, without trust, without the unspoken bonds that form between those who share a common purpose. Each player became part of something larger than themselves, each role essential, each contribution magnified. And in that unity, they found the power to shatter records that had stood for generations. Their legacy is proof that the whole, is always greater than the sum of its parts. We cannot forget the psychological dimension of this feat. To face centuries of precedent, to hear the whispers of "it cannot be done" from every corner of the world, to confront the weight of expectation and still perform with precision and excellence, that is mastery of the mind as much as the body. They became champions, not only through skill, but through the courage to quiet fear, to control doubt, and to act with unwavering confidence when it mattered most. That is the invisible force behind every unbreakable record. Mental strength, focus, and the refusal to allow external voices to dictate your destiny. And the world noticed. Fans around the globe felt it, not just as spectators, but as witnesses to the extraordinary. Young athletes will now grow up dreaming bigger, imagining further, believing deeper, because they have seen proof that limits are constructs, that history is not absolute, that the impossible can be achieved. Every cheer, every replay, every highlight is now a spark igniting the next generation, a torch passed forward from those who dared to defy history to those who will continue the challenge in the future. Think about the courage it took to stand on that field, knowing that failure would be recorded, remembered, and criticized. Every swing carried the weight of expectation. Every pitch carried the risk of disappointment. And yet they moved forward anyway. That is the lesson we must take into our own lives. Courage is not the absence of fear, but action in spite of it. Triumph is not guaranteed, but persistence is essential. And history will always remember those who refuse to surrender to limitation. And so, as we reflect on this achievement, we must understand the magnitude. They defied not just a record, but centuries of doubt, tradition, and expectation. They proved that the impossible is only a challenge, that greatness is only a choice, that history is only a canvas waiting for those bold enough to paint it with courage. They transformed belief into action, vision into reality, and hope into legacy. Let us take this lesson into our own lives, whatever your unbreakable record may be. Whether it is a personal goal, a professional ambition, or a dream that seems forever out of reach. Remember what this team accomplished. Remember that limits exist to be tested, that failure is a step toward mastery, and that greatness is not reserved for the fortunate, but claimed by the relentless. When doubt whispers, remember them. When fear lingers, remember them. When the world says you cannot, remember them. And finally, let us celebrate the enduring truth that they gave us. The human spirit is unconquerable when it is focused, disciplined, and united. Theirs is a record that will never be forgotten, not because it is a number on a board, but because it represents something far greater, the triumph of belief over doubt, action over hesitation, courage over fear. They have shown us that even the unbreakable can be broken, that even history can be rewritten, and that even the impossible can be achieved. So, take this moment with you. Let it inspire you, let it fuel you. Let it remind you that you too can defy the odds, rewrite your story, and leave a mark on the world that will be remembered long after you are gone. History is not a wall, it is a challenge. And if this team can show us the way, then nothing is truly beyond reach. The record is set, the legend is born, and the lesson is eternal. Defy expectation, embrace challenge, pursue greatness relentlessly, and leave your mark on history. Because one day someone will remember that you dared to dream, that you refused to accept limits, and that you too could rise above centuries of doubt to achieve the unthinkable. Even after the record was set, Even after the cheers faded and the lights dimmed, the echoes of their defiance lingered. History had been challenged, and the world had witnessed it. But the real triumph existed beyond the numbers. It existed in the hearts of those who dared to watch, who dared to believe, who felt in the quiet of their own ambition that maybe they too could rise. Theirs was a victory not measured by the scoreboard alone, but by the invisible transformation that occurred the moment courage met determination. Consider the loneliness that often accompanies greatness. While the world saw them celebrating, no one could feel the countless nights when doubt was a companion, when uncertainty whispered that failure was inevitable. Those were the nights when dreams could have died, when the human mind might have given up, when surrender would have been easiest. But they endured. They endured because they had seen the possibility of glory, and that vision was stronger than any fear, louder than any doubt, brighter than any shadow. And in that endurance, there is a lesson that transcends baseball. Every person faces their own unbreakable records, the challenges that seem immovable, the goals that feel beyond reach, the expectations imposed by the world or by ourselves. And just as this team refused to yield to the weight of centuries, we too can refuse to yield to the weight of limitation. Courage is not reserved for athletes. It exists within every person willing to confront their own impossible odds. Their triumph also teaches us about the subtle power of belief. Not the superficial, fleeting belief that falters in the face of challenge, but the deep, unshakable faith in oneself and in the collective strength of a team. They believed when the odds were against them, when critics laughed, when history seemed unchangeable. That belief became action, and action became result. They remind us that belief alone is not enough, but belief without action is nothing. Greatness is the bridge between faith and effort, vision and execution, dream and reality. And let us not overlook the courage it takes to carry expectations beyond personal limits. The weight of history, the pressure of record books, the eyes of generations, these are not mere spectators. They are forces that can crush the unprepared. But this team transformed that pressure into fuel. They understood that expectations, when embraced, can propel you forward rather than holding you back. Pressure became a forge, doubts became kindling, and every trial became a step closer to immortality.